welcome to another episode of the Black and White Thinking podcast. Oh, I'm glad I got that right. I really had to remind myself there. You are joined by your hosts, Trick and G.
Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Woo. Great. Yeah. Adulting's not fun at the moment, is it?
No.
No.
But sure. Be alright.
Yeah, it will be. It'd be nice if we had a bit of sun, for God's sake. Looked like it was coming out for a little bit and then it just disappeared again. Right, let's get straight into this week's episode. What are we talking about?
So, we're discussing whether, if you're in the woods, you prefer to come across a man or a bear.
And why or where did you get this idea from?
Tim and Christine were talking about it.
Tim. Yeah, but so there's a viral thing going around at the moment. So it did start from somewhere, and some man thought that he was being funny by saying, "Oh, but you wouldn't rather be with a bear," and that's where this whole discourse has come from. Because then people are like, "No, I'd rather a bear."
Well, you mean women probably said they'd rather have come across a bear in the woods.
Yeah. Well, I guess this is what we're going to debate now, because this is going to show how we both think.
Which is funny, because I also remember a survey that came out like a few years ago where like a surprising percentage of men thought that they could tackle a bear in a fight.
That's typical. It's typical though, isn't it?
I don't know if it was enough of a percentage to say typical, but not surprising to think that, or to hear that a lot of men out there think that they could tackle a bear in a fight.
Yeah, totally. That is wild.
Although you do see a lot of videos online of like just random Russians just sitting with a bear and stuff.
What were we watching the other day?
It was your mom's house.
Yeah. Literally the guy was like, with this big bear, like whacking it and giving it stuff to play with and sit next to it just to show that, yeah, this thing's not going to do anything to me, which I think is absolutely wild.
So it could be any man, just a lottery.
Could be any man or any bear. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
I can't lie as a
woman.
Well,
not any bear, because like, I know they're called koala bears. But that doesn't count.
Alright, but...
Like a grizzly or a black bear or a brown bear or a polar bear.
Alright, yeah, we'll assume it's one of those. I can't lie, this one is a very easy one for me.
Is it?
Yeah. A bear. Like, you mentioned this the other day, and I was thinking about it, and do you know what I thought about? And I was talking to a client about this morning, because I asked him to ask his daughters, and what I realised was, as a woman, you have to predict all the things that could go wrong that a man can do to you in whatever you do day to day if you're leaving the house. To be fair, even if you don't leave the house, you still have to put things in place. I think that's absolutely wild. And I don't think about any animals like that. I don't think about anything else. But as women, you have to plan for men's potential actions.
What if it was Ray Meir, the survivalist guy, and you're deep in the heart of the woods, you're lost, and you come across him building a wee shelter?
Yeah, but now you're specifying.
No, but...
If it was Ray Meir, do I know Ray? I don't even know Ray Meir, to be fair. So, you're asking me... So actually, that's a good one. Ray Meir is someone that some other people would know, and I'd look at him thinking, oh, you might look familiar, but I don't know him. Would I still choose to trust him or a bear? I don't know Ray Meir, so would I say yes?
I think if you knew him, you'd probably pick him over a bear.
Yeah, if I knew him, but then this is a problem.
So
we've got to assume...
a bear over any man.
But you've got to assume that it's going to be any man.
Yeah.
And it could be a man that you don't know.
Well, I mean, you don't know... You know fewer men than you don't know.
Exactly. So if I know fewer men than I don't know, and just those fewer men across my life have not always been the best, and I've heard horrific stories.
Yeah, but most men are decent.
Oh, I don't want to like say anything too. Are most men decent?
Yeah.
Are they?
I mean, think about like the population of men who may well indeed be criminals is still a small percentage of the overall population of men. So the likelihood is you're still more likely to get a good man than a really bad man.
But I think you're.
But out of any of the big bears that we mentioned, any of those bears is still gonna likely kill you.
But I think you're still thinking of this very much from a male perspective.
No, I'm just.
Okay, let's put it this way. I love you because you're not a typical man. And in not being a typical man, you're in tune with your feminine energy as well as your masculine energy. You live by your own rules basically, but you've got a good heart and a code of conduct that I'm happy knowing Eliza's going to be around you. But you're one in a very few, I don't know what the word would be, but you're one of very few people I could ever say that about. And that's as someone, and like I get your point of, you're like you talked about criminals, but it's like bad men. Not all bad men become criminals. There are men out there. I've been spiked, for example, and I was spiked by someone I knew very well and got on with very well. Whatever their motive was, God knows.
Well, there you go. So you're more likely something like that's going to happen with a man that you actually know.
Yeah, that was
so. Out of all of the men in the world that you could stumble across in a wood somewhere, you won't know them.
But if someone that you know is willing to do that to you, what's someone you don't know willing to do to you? When they don't even have that, there are a lot of people that go, oh, but at least like they'd be nice to me, so I'm not going to do something to them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're still neglecting the fact that out of the 4 types of bear that we mentioned, they're still likely to attack you. Even if they attack you and run away, they're still probably going to leave you with like fatal injuries in the middle of the woods.
But you get taught survival tactics, don't you? Look, I'm not saying.
Go on.
I never remember what people teach you.
So you're walking in the woods and you come across a polar bear. What do you do?
Well, I know there's one you're not supposed to run. There's one you're supposed to try and like make yourself look big. But this is the severity of this conversation. If I would rather be put in that situation and try and remember which one I'm supposed to react to whatever way to, does that not show you how messed up this world is?
I mean, fine, but also how many people have tried those survival techniques and still got eaten by the bear? Like, I think there's one for polar bears. You're supposed to back away slowly and like take off items of clothing and put them down. But then what do? Then you end up just running away naked from a polar bear, which can outrun you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Or make yourself big. I mean, you're 5'2", and a bear is like 10 feet tall.
You just find things to make yourself look big. Yeah, you are. But
even at night time.
So I saw someone talking about this saying, with a bear, it's its instincts. It's not attacking you because it's doing it for the fun of it.
It might just be hungry.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's doing that instinctually.
Yeah.
Whereas a man will do stuff to you just for the fun of it.
So like 10 out of 10 times, it's likely that if a bear attacks you, it's going to kill you.
So I'd rather take my chances?
You'd rather take your chances with a polar bear.
At least if they're going to kill me.
Predator.
No, but if they're going to kill me as well, it's done.
But you're also neglecting the fact that you could, in fact, odds are the man that you stumble across in the woods will just help you get out of the woods.
Yeah, he could help.
But overwhelmingly, the odds would suggest that it's more likely that a man will help you is get out of the woods than a bear will kill you.
I know too many women that also have a horrific story.
Yeah, but
So I hear what you're saying. There are so many good people in this world. Are you willing to take the chance of a bear over potentially getting one of those nice people? And what I'm saying is, I would take the bear because at least a bear is going to be predictable. A man isn't going to be predictable. And from my 30 years of experience, I have learned, like I just said, every woman I would go to has some kind of, anyone I can think of right now, has some kind of horrific story, which means, am I better off on my own in the woods? Yeah.
I mean, like, those women, granted, may have horrific stories. However, they interact probably with thousands of men in their lifetime who are perfectly nice to them.
But also, those people, people that are nice to your face,
No, but I'm just saying.
also aren't gonna, like, think about this. You're talking about being in an isolated place, on your own, with someone that, there are people out there that are keyboard warriors, and will say the most horrible things, racist things, whatever else, because internally they think that, but to your face, they're never going to admit that. Am I making sense?
But also men like to help.
Yeah, I'm not saying men don't like to help. I'm just saying, what are the chances that I'm going to come across a man that wants to help and wants to help for the... Like, there are men in the past that you could have helped or done something nice to, and they take the wrong... It's like, you asked for help, so you must want me. We were out last week, and I did nothing except walk across the street. And what did I get?
Some man beat this horn at you.
More than one. And then started shouting stuff as well. And saying stuff as well as shouting stuff. God knows what they were saying. But, unprovoked, me just minding my own business, crossing the street, and that. So you're telling me to trust that random pull
Yeah, but you
of
might not
men?
get that guy.
No, but there are so many guys like that.
Yeah, but
Too many guys like that.
to me, arguably and overwhelmingly, the odds would be more in your favour if you come across any man than any of the big bears that we mentioned.
Yeah, and I agree with that, but what are the odds you are going to come across some sadistic, weird person as well? Am I willing to take that chance? No.
I mean, I reckon the odds that you stumble across a psychopath in the woods are lower than someone who's going to help you.
Okay, then, not even just a psychopath. Let's remove the specific term because we're generalising here. But how many times have you talked about men not liking the partners?
Well, it's also likely then that they're probably nicer to a stranger.
Well, why would they be nicer to a stranger when they're isolated?
Yeah,
You're
and they need help
forgetting,
in the woods.
no one's seeing what this person's going to do. They know they are free to do whatever they want, however they want to do it, and you're telling me to trust in humanity, in men,
Yeah.
that this man that knows he can do whatever he wants and get away with it is just going to go, yeah, I'll help you.
Would you rather see a man or in the woods or come across a woman?
A woman?
Well, then you just both die.
Well, how would we both die?
Well, who's likely to know at least some survival tips?
I think you're giving women less credit than they do, than we're due.
Let's face it, who's more likely to be watching videos about surviving in the woods?
But do you actually take that stuff in?
Some of it.
Yeah. So if we're dropped in the middle of nowhere, what do you do first?
Probably cry for a little bit.
And then?
And then start walking.
Start walking? You don't just start walking.
What do you do?
Well, you first try and get your bearings of try and find some kind of landmark, because if you do start walking, you need to know that you're not going straight past the same thing. So if anything, you're proving a point here.
Yeah, like follow a river.
Follow her over which way? Up or down?
Depends which way you want to go.
Aren't you supposed to follow wherever this stream's coming from?
Coming from or going to.
Isn't it coming from?
So then you end up like up a mountain or something.
Oh, okay, then go to it. But still, we've deduced
I
here
know, but
that... No, but we've just proven
But generally...
but we've just proven
But generally, if you stumble across a woman in the woods or a man in the woods, who's more likely to have seen some sort of survivalist video?
Yeah, a man will be more likely, but I think that the point of this conversation is the fact that for women to be saying this, there's a huge problem in society.
Yeah, but also some of that could arguably be maybe women need to open their minds.
Women need to open their minds to what?
That a bear will kill you.
Okay, but you're being very pedantic here, and
No, but the option is, would you rather come across a random bear in the woods or a random man in the woods? I think realistically, you'd rather come across a random man in the woods than a random bear. Because if you stumble across a random bear in the woods, it's going to attack you.
But you're going to want to take your chances.
But a random man in the woods is probably more likely to help you than attack you.
I think that's coming from a very privileged place of being a man.
No.
Yeah.
It's
also,
numbers.
yeah, I was going to say you're also looking at numbers rather than... But your numbers are a bit skewed.
Statistically.
Because you're statistically believing... Wasn't there a study done where people could admit without... it was so... Sorry, my brain's dying. It was something like... People could admit to some of like the most horrific thoughts and it wasn't going to be used against them. And it was stuff like there were men that if they could have done something to a young child without it being caught, they would have done it.
No idea, that's so dark.
But this is the point, you've picked a dark topic anyway.
It's not dark.
You looked at the surface level of this topic, not realising that this goes way deeper.
I know what you're saying, but also
Yeah.
women need to realise that a bear will kill you and eat you.
No, and we do realise that. No one's
or
being
leave you
naive.
with life-changing injuries.
Yeah, and no one's being naive.
Whereas, arguably and overwhelmingly, the odds are that a random guy is just going to help you get out of the woods. Maybe catch a fish, light a fire, cook you a wee dinner.
Catch a fish, light a fire, cook you a do we live in the same world?
I'm just saying.
A man is going to find you, catch something for you to eat, and then cook for you.
Yeah.
I think you're deluded. I love you, but you're deluded.
No.
Absolutely. What are the chances? Like,
again,
I can't believe you believe this.
Overwhelmingly, I think the odds are that you're more likely to get help than not.
I think you have too much faith in men.
Look at it this way, like, so say like your car breaks down somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna stop and help you? A man or a woman?
Well, if it's a woman, a man's going to stop to help, but if it's another woman, a woman would stop.
When in the world have you ever seen somebody broken down by the road and a woman has stopped to help them?
If it's another woman, you don't see that. But if it's
No.
another man, a woman's never going to stop.
Without qualifying it, when have you ever seen a woman stop to help anybody?
I have.
When?
You forget I live online. So I do see that. I do get your point though, and I think you're right.
A staged video online?
No, it's not. Not everything's staged.
Alright, in the real world, not online, but in the real world, in your real life, lived experience, as you would say, when have you ever seen a woman pull over to help anyone?
I've been the woman to pull over and help someone.
It's not
yes!
what I'm asking. When have you seen it?
But I've done it.
No, but I'm asking, when have you seen it?
Well, of course I haven't seen it, but I've seen a man stop to pull over to help someone.
Loads of times.
But we don't also know, like, it's not a stranger. Half the time, if a woman breaks down, she's going to call, like, AA or someone she knows. I'd call you,
but
my dad.
Likelihood is, it's a man who pulls over to help. Or like whenever we were in Tesco that day and the wee man's car broke down, who had pushed the car?
Yeah, stuff like that.
Men.
But I think you're also ignoring the
Women
fact
did
that...
this as they drove past.
Yeah, because why would a woman get out to help a man? A woman would get out to help another woman.
They wouldn't.
But sometimes they would. But a woman would not get... A woman would not...
But...
As women, we're taught, if a man asks you for help, why is he asking you for help when he can go and ask a man? There's something... Do you get my point?
No, but...
There's something sinister about it.
No.
If it's an old, helpless man, that's different. The guy that we saw, that was completely different.
But odds are, a man will help you.
Yeah, odds are a man will help you, but odds are a man will help you because that's what we've been taught.
Whereas
Do not extend yourself.
Will not point you in the direction of where you need to go.
But also, that man's also helping you. And I'm not saying that this man's going to help you and it's all underhanded, but you don't know the life he lives behind closed doors. He's helping you in front of other people. Once you're in woods, and he knows he can do whatever he wants, however he wants, and get away with it, that story changes. Don't they talk about, isn't there a study that was done to do with people joining like the Ku Klux Klan or whatever it was, where it was like people work in numbers. So the more people you have saying the same thing, the more people will then be like, oh, it's okay to say, so I'm going to say it.
Mm-hmm.
But you understand my point.
So is your point then that women need to not tar all men on the same brush? Is that what you're saying?
No, but we don't par all of you at the same brush. And excuse you, and I'm proof of that because I have a ring on my hand that suggests...
No, but...
I've chosen one. Reluctantly, I've chosen one.
In that circumstance, choose a wild animal that's likely to kill you or leave you with life-changing injuries as opposed to potentially a man who'll just help you get out of the woods.
Because the flip side of that would be horrific. I'd rather a quick death with a bear than whatever a man would be willing to do. Because
yeah, but overwhelmingly the odds are they'll just help you get out of the woods.
I think you're using the word overwhelming. It's not overwhelming. I think you've put too much faith into... Like I said, if you were to stand outside right now and pick 50 women just to ask a question, do you have a horrific story to do with a man doing something horrible to you? I bet you most of those would go, yeah.
But also, they interact daily with, and throughout their lives, thousands of men about which they don't have a horrific story.
Yeah, because some of those conversations might just be a quick email or...
Yeah, but...
And it's not always a horrific story in the corporate world.
Yeah, but...
People are being demeaning.
But also, like, to use your argument against you, yes, they might have a horrific story about a couple of men, but how many men do they interact with in their lives that are just perfectly fine and normal?
Yeah, but those are the couple of men that actually managed to do something to them.
Yeah,
For every man that does something to you, is a list of stuff you've had to go through.
So you're saying every man, when nobody's watching, is going to do something horrific?
Not every man.
But you'd still rather than pick a bear where like...
Yeah, because a lot of men aren't as nice as you think they are.
99 times out of 100 will kill you.
Yeah, because I'm guaranteed with that 99 out of 100 times. I've got a chance.
So let's even just half it down the middle. So in the world there's like, what, 7-8 billion people? So say 3.5 billion out of 3.5 billion men. Could be any one of them that you stumble across.
But that's the problem.
You're still picking...
That's the problem.
I think you're wrong.
Clearly.
I think you're wrong to pick the bear.
But do you get why I've picked the bear?
I understand the argument, but if you just look at it in logical terms...
The bear's an open and shut case. Men, not an open and shut case. That's why I go for the bear. Because, like you've said, 9 out of 10 times that bear is going to horrifically injure me. / kill me. I know what I'm getting. I know what to prepare for.
Wrong choice.
Is it? Well, let's hope I never get stuck in the woods on my own. And let's hope you don't get stuck in the woods on your own because you'd be waiting for me to come and rescue you.
No.
Yes, you would.
You wouldn't find me.
I wouldn't find you, yes I would.
Do you know how to use a map and a compass?
I actually have your compass in my bag. No, I don't.
So.
Well, I can use a map. Kind of. I can use a map.
Paper map?
Yeah. Compass, however, I can try.
But you need, if you're out in the wilderness, you need both.
We should do a challenge where
No.
we just what? Just drop you off in the middle of nowhere and be like, find your way back home. That'll be fun. Well, great. All right. Honestly, I didn't think we'd talk about that for that long.
So you're choosing the bear?
Yeah, I'm choosing the bear.
You're wrongly choosing the bear.
No, I'm rightly choosing the bear.
Then I'm clearly not choosing a wild animal that's going to kill me.
Do you know what? What would be interesting?
What if it was...
Go on.
What if it was... like a particular nationality of a man? So like, say, an Irishman.
There are fewer Irish men, so I'd probably choose an Irishman.
Alright, take that.
But that one makes sense, because I did think of saying this earlier, and I was like, I don't want this to look like I'm eliminating races or ethnicities or whatever else. But there would be, the more men that are in a population, the less trust to have.
Fair enough.
There you go, you win. I was actually going to say it'd be really interesting to see what your thoughts would be if we ever have a daughter. Because a lot of the things that you say and think right now would change.
No.
Yeah. You say that now, but we don't have a daughter, so...
No, but I would still say, if you see a bear, just...
Good luck.
Yeah, just say your last goodbyes.
But you're also going to teach your daughter to protect herself in general. So everything she does, from her leaving the house to coming back home, you've talked about this, and actually, to be fair, you're more relaxed than I am, because I've said everything down to locations.
No, but think about the way, like, again, like, people of my age and older were brought up. It was like you were just sent out of the house in the morning, you were told what time dinner was. And
that was people of a certain age?
Yeah, but also, like, boys and girls were all fine.
Not always.
No,
but now we also live in the world with social media where we see the horrific things that people do, and that gives other people ideas.
People always did that.
Yeah, people always did that, but we now get to see it on a global scale.
They were probably more likely to do it when there was less chance of them being filmed or caught or located or whatever.
So you'd think. And yet you still find idiots that film stupid stuff that they do.
Yeah.
Or what we were watching the news last week, the guy that killed the presenter's family. 3 people.
What's your point?
In a day and age where people are chronically online, surely now's the time to protect yourself even more than you would. Everything you're saying back then is true also, because society's also had a bit more of a sense of community and looking out for each other. Whereas now, I could tell you what our neighbours look like here and there. The rest of them, I couldn't tell you what half of them look like. There's just a difference between how we grew you specifically, because you're older, old man. But there's a difference between how you grew up versus how I did, then versus how our kids would grow up. And I think to be able to just send them out and be like, see you later, have fun, not knowing where they are, what they're doing, I think that's wild.
It's no.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see when the time comes. And then I'll ask you the question about how you're raising your daughter, because raising your daughter versus a son, you're also going to see massive differences there as well.
Sexist.
But it's not me being sexist, that's me being a realist. You point out how Dad is with me and Mlenga. Aren't there things that Dad, like, you've got to prepare yourself. And you've got to prepare your kids. The world, I think you're such a pure person that you want to bring kids up in a world, or even this discussion, you want to look at the world the way that you see it and how you act. But people don't act like you, and people don't see things like you. People aren't good. Not everyone's a good person. So sadly, you've got to combat for those people that aren't good people, and just hope that you
I
do
think
come
the
across.
numbers suggest otherwise. But
Yeah, we'll see.
we're not going to meet in the middle, are we? Although
No.
you did say you'd pick an Irishman over a bear, so
Yeah, because there are less Irishmen.
you could argue that I win.
I've had a decent experience with Irishmen, so more decent than some others, I'd say. So again, that's just from my experience. Some other people would see different. Nice. All right, so yeah, you're sticking with a
Mom.
man.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, would you have a woman or a bear? Yeah, it made you think there.
I mean, it depends how quickly I want to die.
Excuse you.
Do you mean if I come across a woman and then I rely on that woman to save us?
Yeah. Woman or a bear?
So it's like, do I want to die slowly or do I want to just die quickly?
So why is a woman... So that's my point with men. But why are you saying that about women? You're saying that about women because you think that a woman would try to help you, but might not be able to successfully
Unless we were in like
help
the
you.
Amazon and it was like a wee woman with a stick through her nose, then I would follow her.
But the point there is, you are talking about a woman in this perspective going, I don't think a woman would have the survival skills to be able to help. Whereas that's not even my point. It's not about the survival skills with a man. My point is, the man might have survival skills, but they're going to do something stupid to me. It's horrible to me, potentially. So you would actually, you would rather have a woman than nothing. Because women are smart. Not all men are smart. Not all men will have watched survival tactics.
More likely than a woman. They'll watch Right Mirror or Bar Girls.
Bear Grylls.
Hopefully not Bar Girls though, because then you'll end up drinking your own pee.
Yeah, I find all that wild. Although I did come across there's a company that creates straws that purify water. And I was like... So it was talking about, like, for camping. I was like, how are these not sent all around the world? And they have started trying to, like, reach globally. But stuff like that's fascinating. I'll buy one of those just to keep, just in case.
Alright.
You never know.
Gelling in a bear's eye and wrong.
Well, see, there you go. You could do that as well.
Well, none of it's made of paper.
It might not be. I don't think it'd be made out of paper, because that's the whole point. You're supposed to be able to use it multiple times. But imagine stuff like that could save billions of people around the world. Anyway, that's going on to a topic that we're not talking about, but, right. Interesting on your end. And I'm sure there are going to be some women out there going, what?
Like I said, I would choose a woman if it was one of the ones I mentioned.
Yeah, you're funny.
Like a red line painted on their face and a wee stick through their nose.
Right, so we've got a submission here. So it's not an am I the a-hole? I'll give you a synopsis anyway because we need to keep this person anonymous. So they refer to a video that I created about having an active service man. And there you go, that's you. So this person is 28 years old and has been with a partner for 2 years. However, they are going through a bit of a tough time because they talked about needing a bit of quality time and affection, and basically their partner has ignored their expression. Now, the video I'm talking about where I talk about an active service man is the fact that I feel like in our relationship, you being an active service man means you look after me in different ways. So sometimes that is, whether it's making me a cup of tea in the morning because I need it, whether it's like giving me an extra 30-second cuddle before you get out of bed, whether it's cooking for me because I don't have the mental load, creating content with me because you know that that's important for my work and I'm trying to do something. Like, it's not that you do one thing all the time. Actually, I've got lots of great examples. You're doing quite well, aren't you? Another example, like there are flowers on the table because although you admitted you don't see the point in something that's going to die, I explained why it mattered to me, and you've bought me flowers ever since. And you've been consistent in buying me flowers ever since. So basically they're asking for advice to say what should they do if they're expressing what they need from their partner and they're not doing it and they're the one being left to do everything.
I feel like I need more context.
How do you need
Like
more
you're saying,
okay.
they're being left to do everything.
Okay, so in their words, they've expressed their need for quality time and affection. They hardly went on dates. He hardly shows affection. The only thing that remained consistent was daily phone calls. That was this person's first partner. Excuse me. And basically what they're saying is they realised that they needed more and were feeling lonely a lot of the time and depressed, but they weren't getting the love back that they were given. So no quality time and what was the other one? No affection. So physical touch and quality time as acts of service. This person has not been getting them. So first relationship, not getting what they feel they need in terms of quality time and acts of service. What do they do? Oh, and 2-year relationship, sorry.
I suppose maybe in some way trying to get to the why. The other person maybe feels like they can't do it. Or have a conversation about like small steps that they can take like to get to a particular end goal. Because I mean, often people in relationships, I guess, it can be all or nothing, as opposed to in this case, say it's a woman wants a man to be more affectionate, they have the end goal, and they're here, and they want to immediately get to here.
Yeah.
As opposed to like what's a small thing that'll give them some of that in the meantime while they work towards an end goal, as opposed to this is where I want to be, you need to get there. Yeah. If the person's already not showing that they can do that, how do they expect them to then get to the end goal if they're not, it seems like they're showing or saying that, well, they can't be at that point right now. In some ways, it needs input from the person who wants a particular thing.
But it's not. I don't believe it's just down to that person though.
Well, no, it's down to both.
Yeah.
To expect somebody to automatically get to a point where you want them to be,
yeah,
I don't feel like it's necessarily right. Because at the minute, you could argue that they're showing that, well, they're not capable of being there right now.
Mm.
So if there's something you feel needs to improve, or whatever way you put it, to just expect that to happen without maybe having a conversation about it, or just constantly saying, you need to do this more.
Yeah.
That makes the person retreat probably further away from the goal you want them to be.
Yeah.
So instead of saying, I want this, like find a starting point.
Yeah, that's true.
And work towards the ideal place.
Yeah, I get that. But I also think, I guess it's also important to find out like what vice versa their love language is, because that's one thing I realised, that like something might matter to me but it doesn't mean it matters to you, and how we receive love might be different. So it's about speaking a common language, because for example, like I've got family members where I could spend time with them and they think that's the most amazing thing, versus family members I can spend time with and that's just expected. But if I get them presents, because that's how they equate love, then they think that that's the be all and end all. So I also think it's important to communicate your wants and needs. But if you've also I feel like if you communicate your wants and needs in a way that you're doing it as a team and like what can we do, because I also think some men like to be spoon-fed and given the chance to have an excuse of, oh well, like where was I going to start from? So for example, like the example I gave with you in the flowers, I explained to you that it mattered to me. You told me you didn't realise, you didn't see the point. Up until this day, to me, it doesn't need to make sense to you why it matters to me, except for the fact that it gives me some kind of peace. And in the fact it gives me some kind of peace, that's why I'd expect that you'd keep doing that, because it means something to me, not that you need to, am I making sense?
Yeah, but also I feel like that's maybe an easier one, because it's more material.
But they've talked about quality time and affection. But affection's things like dates.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, to go and buy a bunch of flowers and put them in a vase, like, it doesn't really require, like, I guess it doesn't really require any, I don't know, I suppose, like, I think that's an easier thing to do than somebody saying, you need to be more affectionate.
Yeah, but I think...
Because then, like, what does that even mean?
I think that's a good point. What is affection to someone?
So...
Because someone, like, the quality time, I suppose, is an example I can use for us. When we first started dating, quality time for us has always been huge. And when we first started dating, we spent a lot of time together. And still spend a lot of time together. Like, we might be sat next to each other on the couch doing completely different things, but we spend and choose to spend a lot of time together. So I think there are also... I think people can sometimes have a cop-out, because flowers can cost money, yes. Quality time doesn't have to cost anything. You could literally just be sat. But again, I think it's like you said, it's on your expectation. Are you going to turn around and say that wasn't good enough because you weren't doing something extravagant, or... I don't know, that it wasn't like an intentional date that was planned, because I think the person also has to understand what they're looking for. And on my end, I love the idea of trying out, like we talked about doing the paint and sip date and stuff like that, like we make that effort in that way, but mentally at the moment I'm just drained. And to spend time with you where we just sit and watch a movie, or sit and chat, or sit and don't talk. But yes, sat upstairs for like an hour and came back down and we didn't say much to each other, but we're just next to each other. That matters to me. So I think even realising to you what matters and why, and being able to communicate that, that's an important stage that I think we see stuff online of like, oh, that person's being treated this way, and they've looked at our content and gone, you've got an acts of service man, I want that. But to me, the acts of service are, you work out what I need and what I want, and I also communicate those things, and then you give them to me. It's not that you just go from thin air and decide all those things. So yeah, I think the discussion of why, I think that's a good point, but also understanding what you want and what your partner wants, because it could be an easy solution, or if they don't resonate with what you're saying, it's a case of, okay, we've tried this and it's not working, you're not giving me what I want and need. Because again, my perfect example is, I was asking someone to buy me flowers that didn't buy me flowers. I could buy them myself, and I can still buy my own flowers, but it means a lot that you make that effort to, like, again, you could, order them online and get them delivered and have a subscription. Like, there are loads of things, and I wouldn't care how you did it, but I even appreciate the fact that you go out and remember, because at the beginning you wouldn't have remembered anyway, because it's not something that's in your head. So I appreciate the little steps before I even get those flowers, because I know that's a lot for you. So I think even figuring all that out, so that you know what to be grateful for. I think sometimes we forget to be grateful for the little things that our partners do for us that help us survive each day.
maybe that's a good place to start, instead of looking at what this person doesn't have. Maybe compile a list of the things that they already do receive that they like,
Yeah.
and build on that.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying, this is one thing that I don't have that I want. Maybe get a bit of context in that, well, what do they do that you already appreciate and like?
Yeah.
And find out, you know, can you meet in the middle? Like, you want this end point and this person's far away from that, so meet in the middle, or, you know, work out how you can get to that end point, instead of just saying, well, I want them to be at this point. Is it likely they're automatically just going to then be able to give you exactly what you're asking for without knowing what that looks like?
Yeah, and overnight as well. That's true. Because I was thinking of, when you were saying that, I read somewhere that that book I was reading, The Courage to Be Disliked, and they were talking about relationships and the fact that we look for things to prove our reality. Therefore, if we're not happy in a relationship, we will find reasons why things are going wrong. So I think you saying focus on the good things, if you can't even focus on the good things, you're trying to check out. So if you're trying to check out, there's nothing they're going to do that's going to make it okay, because I think that's the thing as well. We're always evolving and we always want and need more / different things. So you could ask your partner to give you the earth and moon and the stars, and they do that today. Tomorrow you're going to want that again with maybe a bit more. So yeah, I think it's also being realistic on, one, what are the good things, but are these actually good things that I'm willing to stick around for? Because if this is your first relationship, chances are they're there for you to learn from. Your next one, you'll build from that. Not everyone gets to be lucky enough to meet that one person and that's the person forever. And I think most of those times as well, some of those people don't always grow because you've not experienced everything else. And that's not to crap on anyone that's just married someone that they've been with first. But I think the dynamic of those relationships are very different to maybe sometimes people that have experienced different types of love.
Sometimes you just need to ask the same question in a different way as well. So
yeah, that's true. Very true. Nice. Thank you very much. Right, let's check what time we're on. Oh, my head is very sore. Nice. Okay, we will leave it there if you're happy.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Right, keep liking, subscribing, keep sending your agony aunt questions in, because this was actually quite interesting and reflective. And it made me appreciate you even more. Why are you shaking your head? Right, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.